Women are naturally drawn to men who respect themselves and carry themselves with quiet confidence. Confidence isn't arrogance, it's knowing your worth without needing to prove it. When you value yourself, she will too. You see, everything begins with how you see yourself. Before you can expect anyone else, especially a woman, to desire you, be drawn to you, or even respect you, you need to do those things for yourself first. That's where self-respect and confidence come in. And no, I'm not talking about puffing your chest out or pretending to be someone you're not. True confidence is quiet. It's rooted in self-awareness and a genuine belief in your value, with or without applause. Think about this. When you walk into a room, do you shrink yourself hoping not to be noticed? Or do you walk in knowing you belong, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you've already approved of yourself? That internal validation changes everything. You don't chase attention. You don't beg for it. You become the kind of man who naturally commands it. Women can sense insecurity before you even speak. It's in your body language. It's in the way you hesitate. It's in the way you ask questions hoping for permission instead of making statements with certainty. A man who lacks self-respect often ends up overcompensating, doing too much to gain approval, trying to buy affection, or changing his personality just to be liked. But that never works in the long run, because eventually the truth shows, and no one can love a version of you that you created out of fear. When you respect yourself, you no longer need to convince her to want you. Your energy speaks before your mouth does. You stop trying to impress and start focusing on expressing your truth, your vision, your boundaries. And here's the twist. The moment you stop chasing and start choosing how you show up, who you engage with, and where your energy goes, that's when she starts noticing you. Not because you're trying to prove something, but because you're finally standing in who you are. Confidence is attractive not just because it looks good, but because it makes people feel safe. Safe in your presence, safe in your leadership, safe in your certainty, and that doesn't mean you have to be loud or dominant. Sometimes it's the calmest man in the room who has the most power. His silence speaks volumes. His presence demands attention, not because he's trying, but because he's secure in himself. And yes, it takes work to get there. You've got to spend time getting to know who you are, what you believe, and what you stand for. You've got to build routines that strengthen your discipline, develop habits that shape your identity, and surround yourself with people who reflect your future, not your past. You need to invest in your mind, your body, your spirit. When you become the kind of man who keeps promises to himself, who walks away from situations that don't serve him, who doesn't trade dignity for temporary affection, you win . Because you're no longer just desirable, you're unforgettable. A lot of men ask, what do I say to make her want me? But that's the wrong question. The real question is, what kind of man do I need to become so I no longer need to convince anyone to choose me? That shift changes your relationships forever. Because now, it's not about performance, it's about alignment. You stop trying to be the nice guy hoping for crumbs of affection, and instead, you become the man who commands the whole table simply by walking in truth. Let me say this clearly. The most irresistible man isn't the richest, the best looking, or the most charming. It's the man who knows who he is, refuses to be shaken by outside noise, and walks with quiet confidence rooted in clarity. That's magnetic, that's rare, and in a world full of men pretending to be something they're not, the one who's authentic and grounded. He stands out without even trying. So if you want her to want you instantly, start with you. Start by looking in the mirror and asking, Am I proud of the man I'm becoming? If the answer is no, that's your starting point. Work on that, build that, own that, because the truth is the world, and the right woman, will always mirror back to you the energy you carry inside. You don't have to force attraction. You only need to embody the kind of self-respect that makes her pause, look again, and think, asterisk, there's something different about him. Asterisk, become the man that doesn't chase validation because he's already given it to himself. There's something incredibly attractive about a man who knows where he's going. A man with a mission, a vision, a sense of purpose that drives him, whether anyone is watching or not. You see, one of the biggest mistakes men make when it comes to relationships is centering their entire lives around the idea of getting a woman. They make her the goal, they make her the prize, and in doing so they lose themselves. But here's the truth. She's not looking for a man who's just looking for her. She's looking for a man who's building something asterisk, bigger asterisk, and inviting her into that journey. When you don't have a mission, you become directionless, easily swayed, reactive instead of intentional. You wait for things to happen instead of making things happen. And when a woman senses that, she may engage with you for a moment, but it won't be long before she realizes there's no depth, no drive, no movement. You're just standing still, and no one wants to hitch their life to someone who isn't going anywhere. But when a man is focused, when he's working on something that matters, when he wakes up with passion and discipline and clarity, his energy shifts. His posture changes. He starts to move with purpose, and that's when women begin to notice him, not because he's trying to impress them, but because his life already speaks of value and direction. He's not chasing her. He's chasing destiny, and that pursuit makes him magnetic. Purpose gives you focus. It teaches you patience. It builds your character, and most importantly, it protects you from desperation. Because you're no longer out here looking for someone to fill a void. You're looking for someone to share in what you're already building. That shift is everything, because a man with a mission doesn't get lost in the emotions of every relationship. He doesn't collapse at the first sign of rejection. He understands that love is not the mission. It's a companion for the mission. Women aren't attracted to confusion. They're drawn to conviction. They want to see a man who is willing to work, to lead, to sacrifice for something greater than himself. A man who knows why he's here and refuses to be distracted by things that don't align with that calling. That's powerful. That's rare. That's the kind of energy that doesn't beg for attention. It commands respect. And let's be honest, this doesn't mean you have to be famous, rich, or running some massive business. Your purpose could be anything: creating, serving, building, teaching, protecting. It could be starting a business, leading your family well, developing your craft, mentoring others, or even healing your past. It's not about status. It's about asterisk substance asterisk. When a woman sees that you're consistently moving in purpose, that you're not afraid to commit to growth, to discipline, to vision, she sees potential. And not just potential in you, but potential for asterisk her asterisk future too. You can't fake purpose. You either have it or you don't. And the ones who have it don't need to talk about it all the time. It shows in the way they carry themselves, in the choices they make, in the environments they protect, in the people they associate with. A man on a mission doesn't settle for distractions. He filters everything through the question: asterisk, does this move me closer to or further away from my purpose? Asterisk, that includes the relationships he entertains. When you're living on purpose, you don't just let anyone into your life because they're attractive or available. You begin to value your time, your energy, your space. You become more selective, more intentional. And guess what? That's when the right kind of woman starts to take interest. Not because you're trying to be impressive, but because you're already impressive to asterisk yourself asterisk. She sees that you're not looking to be rescued or completed. You're looking to be asterisk complemented asterisk, and that mindset separates you from the masses. So if you really want to capture a woman's attention, don't make her your mission. Make your life your mission. Let her see you building. Let her see you failing and getting back up. Let her see your consistency, your focus, your evolution. And in that, she will see security. She will see leadership. She will see someone worth following, not because you said so, but because your life proves it. A man without purpose is easily distracted. A man with purpose is deeply grounded. One blends in, the other stands out. Let me tell you something that many men overlook. Emotional control isn't just a sign of maturity, it's magnetic. It's the kind of strength that doesn't show up in your muscles or your voice, but in your ability to stay grounded when life or love tries to shake you. And in a world full of reactive, impulsive, emotionally unstable people, the man who can stay calm, composed, and emotionally steady, he stands out without even trying. Here's the truth. Women don't expect you to be emotionless. That's not what control means. You're human. You're going to feel frustration, disappointment, even anger. But what separates one man from another is asterisk, what he does with those emotions asterisk. Do you explode when things don't go your way? Do you spiral into anxiety when she doesn't text back fast enough? Do you lose your sense of identity when you feel rejected or disrespected? Or do you take a breath, collect yourself, and respond with intention instead of reaction? You see, emotional control is about leadership, and the first person you have to lead is yourself. If you can't lead your own emotions, you're not ready to lead in a relationship. Women are drawn to men who create safety, not just physical safety, but emotional safety. A woman feels safe around a man who doesn't panic under pressure. A man who can listen without getting defensive. A man who can be honest about how he feels without blaming or shaming others for those feelings. It's easy to be cool and collected when everything's going right. But real emotional control shows up when things go asterisk wrong asterisk. That's when character is revealed, when you don't get what you expected, when your pride is tested, when your patience is pushed. How do you respond? Do you collapse? Do you lash out? Or do you stay centered, knowing that your emotions are valid, but they don't have to dictate your behavior? A woman watching how you handle pressure is watching for more than just how you treat her. She's watching how you treat yourself. She's watching how you respond to setbacks, how you speak about people who hurt you, how you carry yourself in uncomfortable situations. Because that tells her everything about the kind of partner you'll be when life isn't picture perfect. And let's be honest, life won't always be picture perfect. So when she sees you handle stress without crumbling, when she sees you process pain without projecting it, when she sees you regulate your emotions without suppressing them, that's when trust begins to build. And let me say this clearly. Being in control of your emotions doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means you feel everything, but you asterisk own asterisk what you feel. You don't blame her for your insecurities. You don't try to manipulate her because you feel unsafe. You don't become passive, aggressive, or controlling because something triggered you. You're aware of what's happening inside you, and you deal with it from a place of strength, not fear. A man with emotional control has nothing to prove. He doesn't need to yell to be heard. He doesn't need to threaten to feel powerful. He doesn't shut down to avoid vulnerability. He understands that his power is in his presence, in the way he chooses to respond rather than react, in the way he creates peace instead of chaos, And that energy, it's irresistible because it's rare. You don't become emotionally strong overnight. It takes practice. It takes self-reflection. It takes choosing not to feed every emotion that rises. Sometimes it means walking away to cool off, not because you're weak, but because you respect yourself and the other person too much to allow your emotions to lead the moment. Sometimes it means sitting in silence and allowing yourself to feel without acting on it right away. That's strength, that's self-mastery. The most powerful men are not the loudest in the room. They're the ones who know how to listen, to pause, to think before speaking. They're the ones who don't let external chaos create internal collapse. They're the ones who protect their peace like it's sacred, because it is. And when a woman sees that in you, she sees not just a man she can be with, she sees a man she can build with. So if you want her to be drawn to you instantly, don't just work on your looks or your lines. Work on your emotional foundation. Train your heart the same way you train your body. Build habits that strengthen your mind. Learn how to stay present, how to breathe through discomfort, how to stay rooted even when the storm comes. Because when you become the kind of man who controls his emotions instead of being controlled by them, you don't just get attention, you earn admiration. And that's the kind of connection that lasts. There's something powerful about a man who doesn't need to say much to make his presence felt. A man whose actions speak louder than his words. That kind of man doesn't need to prove himself. He simply shows up with consistency, integrity, and quiet strength, and the world takes notice. Especially women, because while charm can get attention, it's your actions that hold it. That's where the real difference lies. A lot of men are trying to talk their way into being wanted, saying all the right things, rehearsing clever lines, over-explaining their value, hoping that the right combination of words will make her stay. But here's the truth, words without action are noise. They may impress for a moment, but they fade just as quickly. What truly captures a woman's attention and keeps it is when your life reflects what you say, when your actions align with your values. When you don't just say you're reliable, you show up. When you don't just say you're respectful, you prove it in the way you treat her, even in the smallest moments. It's not about being flashy or doing grand gestures to impress her. That fades. It's the everyday things. The way you handle responsibility, the way you show up on time, the way you follow through on promises, even the little ones. It's in how you take care of your own life without needing her to fix you. That's what builds trust. That's what makes a woman feel secure in your presence, not because you told her you're a good man, but because she saw it, felt it, experienced it through your actions. And this is where most men go wrong. They think talking more will help them stand out. They think explaining their intentions, their loyalty, or their dreams will make them more desirable. But if your actions don't reflect that same energy, your words start to feel empty. Instead of talking about what kind of man you are be him. Live it, embody it. Let her come to her own conclusions, not from what you told her, but from what she observed about how you carry yourself. A man who lets his actions lead is patient. He doesn't rush to prove anything. He understands that consistency over time is far more attractive than intensity in a moment. He's not looking for instant validation. He's building a life that speaks for itself. And that, right there, is what makes him stand out. He isn't loud about his intentions, but they're clear. He doesn't need to chase attention because his focus is already fixed on becoming the man he respects. It's easy to post motivational quotes or talk about being you. It's easy to talk about your goals, your loyalty, your ambition. But if your day-to-day behavior contradicts that, if you lack discipline, if you're unreliable, if you're inconsistent. No amount of words will hide that. Eventually, the truth will always come to light, and when a woman sees that your words don't match your actions, trust disappears. Once trust is gone, attraction fades quickly behind it. On the other hand, when you become the kind of man whose life is the proof, she doesn't have to question your intentions. She doesn't need constant reassurance. She sees you walking in purpose, managing your emotions, building something with quiet confidence. And when you invite her into that space, it doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like alignment. She wants to be near you not because you convinced her, but because your energy, your consistency, your integrity made her feel safe and inspired. So speak less, move more, not in silence out of insecurity, but in stillness that comes from security. Be the man who holds his own, who doesn't brag about how faithful he is. He just is asterisk, who doesn't announce his goals every chance he gets. He just works. And in time, everything you are will reveal itself without you ever needing to say much at all. And here's what's even better. When you live this way, you stop wasting energy trying to impress the wrong people. You naturally filter out those who are only drawn to noise, and you attract those who value depth. Because the woman who sees the kind of man you're becoming through your actions, she won't need a speech to be convinced. She'll feel it, she'll recognize it, and she'll respond to it. So if you truly want to stand out, stop trying to convince her you're different. Be different. Let your consistency speak. Let your discipline speak. Let your integrity speak. Because when a man moves with quiet power and unwavering action, he doesn't chase what he wants, he attracts it. So if you want her to want you, truly want you, it's not about flashy words, borrowed confidence, or temporary charm. It's about becoming the kind of man who respects himself, lives with purpose, controls his emotions, and lets his actions speak louder than anything he could ever say. Because when you become that man, you won't need to chase her attention. She'll feel your presence, and she'll come looking for you.